friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to a preview slash overview of a game called Books of Time. So this is designed by Philip Gravach, I believe is how you pronounce it, and it is published by Board and Dice, who actually is sponsoring today's video, so a huge thank you to them. And this is getting released at UKGE, which that is the UK Games Expo. If you are there, look out for the Board and Dice booth. They will be releasing it there. But for everybody else that is not at UKGE, they will be having this for pre-order. And I believe the pre-order starts now, so you can go and check it out if this is something that you are interested in. So if you guys want to see how Books of Time is played, a little general overview of all of the components and everything like that, just keep on watching. And quickly before we get into that, I do want to mention that Books of Time plays 1 to 4 players, so this does have a solo mode if you're interested in that. I will actually have a solo playthrough that is going to be happening tomorrow. When this video goes up, this is going up on Saturday, June 3rd, I believe. So tomorrow, Sunday, June 4th, I will be doing a solo playthrough of Books of Time over on my Twitch channel, which I will have a link down below if you guys want to come and join for that. It is also for players 14 plus. It is a 2.14 on BGG, so this is like a medium light game. It's not too heavy. Board and Dice actually often does some heavier games. They are known for the T series, but this is a slightly lighter game, which I am really happy to see coming from Board and Dice. And then lastly, for the amount of time that it takes to play, it takes anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes. So without further ado, we're going to go down to the table here, and I'm just going to chat with you guys about how Books of Time plays so you can kind of get a feel if this is something that you would enjoy. I'm also going to show you all of the components and some different things about the game so you can better figure out if this is something that you want in your collection. So without further ado, if you guys want to see that, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit that subscribe button if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And comment down below if Books of Time is something that you are interested in playing, if you're interested in having in your collection, or if it's not something that you're interested, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation about that. But yes, without further ado, let's get into this video, shall we? All right, so getting into a little bit of an overview of all the components on the table, what everyone has in front of them. I do have a 2-player game set up here with 1 player to my left and 1 player to my right. Each player is going to have 3 different books. The red book is your science book, the green book is your industry book, and then the yellow book is your trade book. And basically throughout the game, you are going to be acquiring these different pages to add to your book. You're going to be flipping pages, activating different abilities, using resources. This is a big resource management, a little bit of a deck builder, I guess, but it's a different kind of deck builder where they've brought in this book that you are flipping through. You can then flip back to the beginning and kind of trigger a bunch of abilities. So yes, without further ado, let me point you over to this area here. I will have a bunch of B-roll throughout this so you guys can see some of the components more close up, but let's go over all the components here. So each player, like I said, is going to have 3 different books, and each player is going to start with 2 pages, 2 starting pages in your books. And then at the beginning of the game, each player will be given 6 different cards. 1 they are going to choose to add to one of their books, and then they are going to be gaining the like initial bonus for that card. So each card is going to have an initial benefit, and this is going to be something that you gain when you first put that page into your book, and then you're also going to gain it once you get to the back of the book, and then you flip through to the front. You're going to gain all of those instant benefits again. So the more pages you have in your book, the more different resources and things you are going to be acquiring when you close your book and flip it back to the beginning. So each player is going to have 1 that they choose from that initial 6 that they're going to put into one of the 3 books, and then you're also going to be choosing 2 of those 6 to place into your own personal market, which I thought this was a really interesting thing to have in a game where you have 1 public market. In the game, it is called the offer. So you are not purchasing things from the offer, you are just taking those from the offer and then placing it into your own personal market. So no one else has access to your own personal market, and you can kind of mitigate where those cards end up. So you can actually like wait to say you want a specific card and wait until it is actually in a specific spot of your market that you can afford it in order to purchase it and then place it into your book. So you're going to have 2 initial cards in your own personal market, and then you're also going to have objectives. So each player is going to have 3 different colored objectives coordinating with the 3 different books. And each of those objectives can actually be evolved in a way, or in this game, it is actually called advancing your objectives. So there's going to be a science objective, an industry objective, and a trade objective. And you are going to have opportunities throughout the game to advance your objective. And all of these objectives will be scored at the end of the game. So you are actually kind of curating what you want your objectives to be at the end of the game, based off of how many of like certain things you are getting into your book. So we have first the science objective, which is going to be that you are needing certain symbols in your science book. And each player is actually going to have a different base symbol that they are wanting to get. So for example, with this player here, they are wanting 2 planets plus 2 of any other of these symbols. So there are 4 different science symbols. There is the planet, the molecule, the medical, I believe it's like a medical symbol, and then a book symbol. So you are wanting to get 2 of your base symbol and then 2 of any other. And then as you advance that objective, you are going to be needing more of your base symbols. So you have 2, and if you advance it, you get 3, and then if you advance it again, you get 4. So that is the science objective. The industry objective is going to be 3 different, 4 different, or 4 different plus a specific icon. So this player here needs 4 different plus the map icon, whereas this one is you need 4 different symbols plus the gear icon. So it's going to be different for whatever objective pile you get. And then lastly, you have the trade objective. So this is going to be that you need specific symbols in a specific order in your book. So for this specific player here, they're going to need a ship, a camel, and then a little like buggy thing that you attach to the back of your car. I forget what it's called, a trailer. I don't think it was called a trailer back in the day though. So they are needing that for the initial trade objective, but as you advance, the specific order is going to get longer. So once you get to the more advanced objective, you're going to need a ship, a camel, a trailer, a ship. So you are advancing these objectives based off of how you are doing with them. And you are hoping that if you advance it to the 2nd level or the 3rd level, that you will be able to achieve that objective before the end of the game. So you have all of the objectives, you have all of your books, you have your own specific little market in front of you. You also have some starting resources. Every player starts with 2 pens and 2 papers. Those are the specific resources for the game. You have the pen resource, you have the paper resource, and then you also have one other resource, which is the file resource. So this is going to be for specific things in the game, but then it can also be used as a wild. So you can use a file if you are really in need of a specific resource. You can use a file to use it for either of those as a wild. So yes, I believe that is everything for the initial setup. Each player also gets a little bookmark if you ever need to put it in to look at different pages throughout your book and remember what page you are specifically on. You have your own bookmark there. And then additionally, each player does get a little player reference here. I always love when games have references. One side is going to be the different actions that you can do, which we'll get into in a second. And then the other side is going to be all of the different icons, which is fantastic. I will be showing you guys that in some B-roll, but I really, really love when games have great icon player references, and this one has a fantastic one. And it's really, really straightforward and easy to follow. So that is everything for what each player has. We have the offer in the center, which is available to every player. You have all of your resources. And then lastly, we have these 2 things here, which you have the main board here, which is going to have a bunch of different tracks that you're going to be going up throughout the game. And then it also has the scoring around the outside. So each player is going to start at 10 because you can give up victory points in order to exchange for different things based off of different books and different cards that you get into your books. So we do start all at 10, and then obviously at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is the winner. This game is whoever has the most points. So we do have the 3 different tracks aligning with the 3 different books. So you have the science track, the industry track, and the trade track, and there are going to be specific actions that are going to allow you to go up the track. You can also use an advance action or a track action to go up any of the tracks by paying what is on the right side to go up the tracks. But you guys can see in the B-roll that there are a bunch of different things that you are getting as you go up the tracks. There are a lot of end game scoring type of things, and the main way that you're going to be getting a lot of your victory points is through this track. So I will go over all of the different things on the track once we get into how the game plays, but that is the main board there with all of the tracks. And then I do want to quickly get into the last component here, which this is freaking adorable. I love how there's a little stand for the book, which this is the Chronicle book, and this is going to actually show you the rounds. So every single round, the first player is never going to change. It's always going to be the same player order. So you're going to pick one player that's going to be the last player, and once that player has finished their turn and it starts a new round with the first player, then the page or a page in the Chronicle is going to get flipped. So that's going to be a little bit of a countdown to the end of the game. And then there's also a bookmark here that is 3 from the end. So once you get to that bookmark, it is going to be a little bit of a like alert that there are only 3 more turns left in the game. Try to get as much things as you can done with those last 3 turns before the end of the game. So that is the Chronicle book. There's also every single turn you have the option to do a Chronicle action, either before you do your action or after you do your action. So you're gonna have a main action, and then you can optionally do a Chronicle action as well. And you are just going to be picking one of the pages on the Chronicle to do that action. So yes, that is everything for the components. There's also some like components that have to do with the different tracks, so I will get into those once we do that. But I believe that is everything for the components. We are going to get into how the game plays now. All right, so I pretty much explained the main like round and how you trigger the end, which is with the Chronicle book. So every single time it gets to the end player, a new page is going to be flipped. The Chronicle actions are going to change every single round, so that is awesome. And then once you get to the end of the book and you close the Chronicle book, the game ends. Everyone then counts up all of their points, their objectives, different things, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. So that is kind of how the general gameplay or game flow goes. But for a player's turn, let me get into all of the different actions that you can do on your turn. So each player on their turn is simply going to do 2 actions, or they can do up to 2 actions. So I mentioned before the Chronicle action or the Chronicle event. Basically, you can choose to do a Chronicle event either before you do your main action or after you do your main action, and you can actually just not do a Chronicle event if you don't want to. If there's nothing on the 2 pages that are open that you want to do, you can simply just pass on the Chronicle event and just do your main action. So the main actions here, I'm going to get into each of them, but there are 6 different main actions that you can decide to do. There is activate pages, write pages, close a book, draw, advance, or turn pages. So I'm going to start off with activating pages. This simply just means that you are going to look at one of your 3 books and activate the 2 pages that are open. So for example, I could decide to activate my trade book right here and activate the 2 different things that are on these books or this book's pages. So I would get 3 pens, and then I could also discard one of my cards from my market, and then I would be able to get either 3 additional pens or 2 paper. So you are just going to be activating 2 pages in one of your books, and once you are finished with that, you then turn the page. So you are going to be wanting to turn the page maybe to get some specific symbols into specific spots, specifically for the trade book. This is great if you need specific icons in specific orders for your objective. So like I mentioned, this player needs a boat, a camel, and a trailer. Still don't know if that's the right word for the symbol, but there's a possibility that you could have put a camel into the book, and you need to actually flip the page in order to get a trailer behind it. So that is a good way to flip a page or turn a page, and then you're also gaining some resources by activating those pages. So that is the first option, simply just activating your 2 open pages of one of your 3 books and then flipping the page. The next action that you can decide to do is the Write Pages action. So this is going to be you looking at your market and deciding if you want to write or purchase any of these pages to place into your book. So you can write as many pages as you can afford. So this player might decide that they want to write both of the pages that they have here in their market. So they would pay 2 paper to put this into their trade book, and then they would pay 2 or 1 paper and a pen to put this one into their science book, which I will say these little binders are really nice quality. I've worked with a lot of binders in my past because I've been in like the stationery world for a long time, and these rings close and open really nicely. They're really sturdy. I've had some binders in the past where when you pull one set of rings, the other rings kind of don't open at the same time as the other rings, if that makes sense. Or sometimes I've even had binders where I open the rings and like one of the rings opens, but like the other one is not quite open, and these ones just open and close really nicely together. They're super sturdy. And then additionally, like I said, you can write as many pages as you can afford. So this player might also additionally decide to write this science page into their science book and pay 1 paper and 1 pen to do so. So they might add this into here because this player actually has an objective where they need planets. So that is like their base icon that they're wanting into this book. So they actually added 1 planet at the start of the game, and then they would be adding another one now. So all they would additionally need now is 2 of any other icon in that science book to gain the first level of that objective that they have. They could additionally advance that objective and try to get more planets into their book. But as for the base one that they had there, they are finished with the planets. So that is great. So that is everything for writing pages. You can purchase as many cards as you want and place them into your books, and then that would be your turn. So the next action that you can decide to do is the draw action. So as you can see here, this player has no cards in their market. So their best option now would be to draw cards from the offer or draw pages from the offer to get something into their market. So they can take exactly 2 pages from the offer and place them into their market, starting from the left side and moving over. So for example, this player might decide they want to take this page here that has a book icon for their science. And then additionally, they might want to take one of these industry cards that has the gear icon at the top, because if you remember, their objective is going to be 4 different plus a gear card. If they get their objective, their industry objective advanced to the last level, they want a gear card specifically. So these might be the 2 pages that they decide to draw from the offer, and then they are going to place it in the leftmost and then moving down from there. So they're going to push this one and then place another one there. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that because the chronicle's in the way, but I place them there in front, and then that would be their turn. 2 of the pages would then get refreshed here. I will say that when I did this, I didn't refresh after they took their first page, but it would refresh right away. So the player would have taken their first page, and then 1 would have been placed right away. So they would have had access to that additional page as well. So then those would get refreshed and it would go to the next player. And then lastly, I will additionally say for the draw action, you do have the opportunity to completely refresh the pages that you have here in the offer by spending 2 victory points. So you would spend 2 victory points, refresh the 4 that are available here, and then take the 2 that you decide to draw. So that is the draw action. And now we're going to move on to the next one. Moving on to the next action, that is the advance action, which I touched on quickly when I was going over the components and talking about this main board here, which there are 3 different civilization tracks that you can go up, and each of these tracks is going to connect back to one of the books. So you have the science track in the red, you have the industry track in the green, and then you have the trade track in the yellow. And basically with this action, you can decide to go up as many of the tracks as you want, as many times as you want. just if you can afford them. So like I said, the prices are on the right-hand side here, and you would pay whatever resources you needed to go up one of these 3 tracks, and you're going to gain benefits based off of what part of the track you're going up. So there are a bunch of different ones. Like I said, a lot of these are going to be connected to gaining a lot of victory points. This is where the bulk of your victory points are going to come from, especially the ones up at the top and stuff like that. But basically some of them are going to be go up another track for free. Some of them are going to be victory points based off of the icons that you have. For example, here on the science track, you would gain 3 victory points for each of the different icons that you have in your book. The next one would be 4 victory points for each of the same of one of them. So whatever one you had the most of, you would gain 4 victory points for each of those. So for example, this player here has 2 planets in their science book. So if they got to there, they would gain 4 victory points times 2. So they would gain 8 victory points for the amount of planets that they had in their science book. This up here is going to be that you get one of these tiles, which I mentioned there were some additional components based off of some of the track parts, and this is the only one, but basically you would gain one of these tiles for one of the icons. So it would just give you an additional icon for your objective for the science book. For the trade track here, there is a section of the track that would get you 4 victory points per file that you had. So if you had a lot of files hanging around, you could try to get to that part, and then you would gain 4 victory points per file that you had, up to a max of 16 victory points. So if you had 4 files, you would gain 16 victory points, which is a ton. And then at the top is going to be, if you get to that spot, you will gain 2 victory points for every page that you have of that specific color. So if you get to the top of all 3 of them, you're going to be getting 2 victory points for every single one of the pages that you have in all 3 of your books, which is great. So yes, that is everything for the advance. You can decide to go up 1 track, 2 tracks. You could decide to go up 1 track twice, just based off of how much you can afford with the resources that you have. And then also lastly, if you can see these icons down here, you'll be able to see them in the B-roll, but you can also decide to go up the track, not gain the benefit, and actually decide to advance one of the objectives, which might be something that you decide to do if you know that you have the objective or the next level of that objective. You might want to advance it to the next one so you can get more victory points at the end of the game. So that is everything for the advance. And then additionally, if you ever got to the top and then you would go further, obviously you wouldn't go further, you would just gain either 1 victory point, 1 pen, or 1 paper, whatever one of your choice. So that's everything for the advance action. Next up is the turn pages action. This is a great way for you to get a bunch of resources. Basically what you can do is you can choose 1 to 3 of your books, and you're going to flip that page. So you can decide to flip 1 of your books, 2 of your books, 3 of your books, and then you would automatically gain the instant benefit on every single one of the pages that you have open. So for this instance here, this player would then get 1 paper, 2 victory points, and then they could get rid of 1 victory point in order to get 2 pens. So this is a great way, again, to get some resources, to get some of your pages flipped, so that you could fit different icons in and stuff like that. So that is the turn pages action. And then lastly, we have the close a book action. So you can decide to do this action whenever you want. So I could decide I wanted to close this book here. Even though I still have a few pages to flip through, I could decide to just close this book, and then whenever you have your book closed, and I will add that this can actually happen automatically when you take either the activate pages or turns pages action, which I will get to in a second. But if you ever do the specific close a book action, you would close your book, and then starting with the last page here, you would then flip, and then you would gain every single one of the instant benefits on all of your pages, going all the way to the beginning. So you would flip this page, say I get a pen, flip this page, I'd get a paper, flip this page, I'd get another paper, and then that would be the beginning of the book. So obviously this is a great way to get a lot of resources again and start your book from the beginning. So that is the close your book action, but like I said, this could also happen if, for example, you had this one here and you wanted to activate these 2 pages with an activate pages action. You would gain these 2 things, and then because you would be flipping this closed, this would automatically happen, and then you would have to do the close book action automatically to get all the way to the front. You would then gain all of the instant benefits like you would from the close a book action, but it just happens additionally with the activate pages action. So again, as an overview, the close a book action you can decide to do as your main action, but that will be triggered if you ever get to the end of your book, whether you're doing an activate pages or a turn pages action. So that is all of the actions. All right, so that is going to be everything for this video and the little overview of how Books of Time plays. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like I mentioned, at the end of the game, when everyone is finished and there are no more pages to be flipped in the Chronicle, everyone would then add up all of their victory points based off of their objectives that they have done. Any of the endgame victory points on the tracks, so that is going to be the last 3 spots on all 3 of the civilization tracks, you would add those, and then whatever player has the most victory points at the end of the game is the winner. And yes, that is everything for Books of Time. If you guys enjoyed, give this video a big thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Comment down below if this is something that you guys think you would be interested in, if it's something that you want to try. Let me know. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I will be doing a solo playthrough of this over on my Twitch channel tomorrow. If you're watching this the day that it goes up, it'll be Sunday, June 4th. Definitely come by and hang out with me as I play that so you guys can see more of the solo variant. And yeah, that is everything for today. A huge thank you to Board and Dice again for sponsoring today's video. I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you guys in the next board game video. Bye, friends.